So I just wanted to see if I can invite a couple people to the video. Happy Friday, everyone. I know that this is probably not a subject that most people want to talk about on a Friday night. It's Friday night. Most people are probably out having some type of fun, partying, or whatever they do. I actually just got home myself from an all-white event that was held at a church tonight. It was a all ladies type of event. So I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people out probably having fun. But if you're able to join me right now, I do appreciate you who did decide to join me. So I just wanted to talk just a few minutes. I'm not going to be on here long. Just to talk about 3 ways we tend to break our own hearts. And this is primarily for women, but I do know that men also enter into situations or stay in situations in which they should not be in, and they ultimately end up breaking their own heart. But this is primarily for the women, although, like I said, the men can probably get something from this too. So I'm going to read a little bit of one of my chapters from my book. Many of you may know my book is Pain, Promiscuity, Purpose, From Mess to Ministry. And this is pretty much my testimony in the form of a book. So the chapter that I'm going to read a little bit from, it is chapter 8, and it is entitled Breaking My Own Heart. And in this chapter, I pretty much talk about a situation that I was in that I had no business being in. And there were so many things going on in the relationship. Well, actually, it was a situationship. We weren't even officially in a relationship. So in this chapter, I just talk about how I was in that situation, and I ultimately end up getting my heart broken. And that was actually that moment was actually it was like a defining moment, a pivotal moment in my life, because that was what actually prompted me to write in. And that's how this book pretty much got birthed, because of that situation. Because I sat down and I was trying to figure out, how did I end up in this situation where I'm allowing this person to hurt me? So anyway, I won't get too much into it, because if you read the book, you'll see it. But I just want to talk briefly just about a few ways we break our own hearts. So again, this is from the 8th chapter of my book, Pain, Promiscuity, Purpose, and the chapter is called Breaking My Own Heart. So I'm just going to read a little bit. I realized I had played a major part in my own heartbreak. There had been many warning signs I had chosen to ignore throughout the relationship. Why? Because I was in love, and I thought if I loved him, cooked for him, and met his physical needs, he would fall in love with me too. But it was doing those very things that kept him from committing to me, because he didn't have to. There's an old saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Now, I had heard that saying for years, but I never thought about it until it actually applied to me. So one day, I researched how much it costs to buy a cow. It costs, on average, $800 to buy an adult dairy cow. Once you buy the cow, you got to make sure you feed it. You got to make sure it's healthy and make sure it's up to date on its vaccinations. You need to clean its bedding and milk supplies. Not to mention, a cow has to be milked once or twice a day. There's a lot of work that goes into caring for a cow. It would be nice to enjoy the milk from the cow and not have to worry about paying for it, feeding it, or caring for it. The same is true for most men. If he can milk you once or twice a day without having any responsibilities of feeding you, caring for you, loving you, he will do just that. So when I actually looked, because I had always heard that saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And I'm not one to just jump on sayings. I have to actually understand what I'm saying. That's like that saying, you want your cake and eat it too. To me, that's just the dumbest thing, because if I have cake, I want to eat it. So I don't like jumping on sayings just to jump on it because they sound good. So I needed to know, what this meant. So yeah, if a cow costs $800 and you have to care for it, you have to get the vaccinations, clean it, milk it twice a day to keep that milk coming. It's a lot going into it, just like it's a lot with relationships. And if a person can get those relationship benefits from you without an actual relationship, 9 times out of 10, he's going to do that. So that's the situation I found myself in. So 3 ways we break our own hearts. I'm going to start with number 3, then I'm going to go down to number 1. So number 3, by ignoring the signs. By ignoring the signs. We break our own hearts by ignoring the signs. The excerpt that I just read to you, I didn't read about the signs there, but there were so many signs in that situation that I should have taken heed to. But because, like I said, I was in love, and I thought that if I cooked for him, if I loved him enough, if I met his physical needs, as in pleasing him sexually, I felt like I could keep him, and I felt like he would love me. But there were so many different things. From the very beginning, he made it clear that he did not want a relationship and that he was okay with how things were. We were sleeping together. I was going to his family functions. We were doing everything that people in a relationship do, but we just did not have that title because he was okay with the way things was. So at that point, I had a choice to either exit the situation or stay in it. And I chose to stay in it because I thought that I could change his mind. A lot of times we stay in situations because we think that we can change the person's mind. And that's where we go wrong. So I feel like when we see those signs, and there were other signs. I mean, he wasn't holding a steady job. He wasn't stable. He was the type of person that was blaming his problems on different people. He didn't have any integrity. So there were so many signs that he had that were there, but I chose to ignore them. So that is one definite way that we break our own heart. And that is, like I said, by ignoring those signs. Pay attention to the signs. Take heed to the signs. Number 2, the second way, well, there's many different ways. Let me just say that we break our own heart, but I'm just talking about the 3. And these are 3 definite ways that I constantly broke my own heart. Number 2, by not healing properly. Many times we jump from relationship to relationship and in an attempt to heal from that past relationship. But what it does is we never take time to heal from the past relationship. So then when the next relationship doesn't work out, then it's just hurt on top of hurt on top of hurt on top of hurt. We put a Band-Aid on the wound by jumping into a new relationship, when that wound actually, we need to heal from the inside. A wound, to put a Band-Aid on it, that just covers it up. That just hides the bleeding. That's all it does. It doesn't heal that wound. So we have to take time to actually heal from those, from that hurt, from that past relationship, instead of jumping on to the next. You asking for a heartbreak. Anytime you're trying to get over a relationship by moving on to another one, you asking for heartbreak. You are definitely, you want a heartbreak if you do that, because you're not taking time. Sade, hey Sade. Hi Cynthia. I'll put that information for you, but it's on Amazon, it's on Barnes and Nobles. I didn't know it was on Barnes and Nobles, but it's on Barnes and Nobles. I have some on me too that I can actually send you an invoice and I can mail it to you if you want a signed copy. But like I said, number 2 was not healing properly. When we don't take time to heal, we are asking for heartbreak. Okay? In the past, I was infamous for doing that. When things didn't work out with one guy, it wasn't long before I was on to the next, because it was just like, I just felt like I needed somebody. But anytime we feel like we need somebody to be happy, that's a sure sign that we are not healed. There's something deeper going on. If you feel like you need to have somebody to feel any type of joy when you're single, when you don't have anybody, and you feel like you can't make it, you can't get through the day without having somebody to text or call, you are not healed properly. There is something going on. So, number 3, recap for anyone that just joined. Number 3 was by ignoring the signs. We break our own heart by ignoring the signs, the red flags. We must take heed to those when we see them. Number 2 was by not healing properly. We ought to take time to heal from a broken relationship before moving on to the next. Never try to heal yourself by moving on to a new relationship. You are definitely asking for a heartbreak. Number one, and most people do not want to hear this one. I know that I am going to step on some toes with this one. A couple years ago, this was stepping on my own toes. So I know that this number one reason is going to be one that's going to make somebody exit off this live feed. And it's okay, because I know not everybody is ready for this. But number one, by bringing sex into the relationship. I said nobody not gonna want to hear that one. So the reason why I say that is because once sex comes into a relationship, that's when all double hockey sticks breaks loose. Because like I mentioned in my book, let me go back a little bit. I need to learn my book. That's a shame that I don't know my own book. People have messaged me and said, oh, I love chapter 4, I love chapter 5. And I'm like, what was chapter 5? But there's a part in my book where I talk about, I asked them, how hurt were you when things did not work out with a man that you did not sleep with? And then I asked the same question again. How hurt were you when things did not work out with the man that you did give your body to? That hurt is on a whole different level. And that's why I say that bringing sex into a relationship is the number one reason how we break our own hearts. And I'm not going to go too deep on this subject because I want to save that subject for another time. But one thing that I always tell women, because I see a lot of women saying, oh, he's using me. Cannot use you for sex if you're not having sex with them, right? A woman can't use you for sex if you're not having sex with her. So just a quick recap, and I'm going to get on off because my baby Kylia is calling me. I keep having to decline the call. She is out of town, so I'm getting ready to cut this short. But I just wanted to recap real quick, and those 3 ways that I talked about were ignoring the signs, ignoring the red flags. You must take heed to those red flags. By not healing properly was number 2. Do not try to heal yourself by moving on to another relationship. And number 1 was by bringing sex into the relationship. The one that we hate to hear. People don't have sex. They hate it because we have been so conditioned to believe that we need it, that we're entitled to that we're supposed to be doing it. But actually, sex, I'm not even going to get on that subject too deep tonight. We'll get into it another time, but I just wanted to talk. I hope that I was able to help someone tonight. Hi, Aunt Janice. Hey, Kenneth. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, I got your your poetry books today. Thank you so much. I finally checked my P.O. box. Thank you. Hey, Brittany. Hey, Cynthia, Sade, Latoya. Hi, hey, Quisha. Hi, Patrick. So, yes, I did, Kenneth. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this video right now. Again, like I said, 3 ways we break our own hearts: by ignoring the signs, by not healing properly, and by bringing sex into the relationship. Again, this is based on chapter 8 from my book, Pain, Promiscuity, Purpose. And my book is not just about that subject, breaking my own heart, but that's just a part of my testimony. Going through that was actually what prompted me to start writing the book. Even though the book was a different kind of book at first, it was more of an advice book for women to not break your own heart. But as I was writing, I found myself sharing more of my testimony than giving advice. And I also share my story before I try to give anybody advice, because how do I know that God is a healing God? How do I know that He's a transforming God? How do I know that He's a delivering God? It's because He delivered me, He transformed me, and He healed me. And it's all in this book. So thank you so much for tuning in. My baby is calling me. She is in Georgia this weekend. You guys have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in with me on a Friday night. I know that you guys could have been doing something else, but you chose to chill with me for a moment. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.